Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Rise, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is members night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, Plumpton.
Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Welcome to episode 61 of the Football Outlet Show, wherever you may be. It is a lockdown episode. It is our second episode because in Melbourne, unfortunately, the lockdown continues. But gee, have we got a massive show lined up for you tonight. A huge show. And we're going to straight away go straight into introducing all of our guests. Craig Filer, welcome to the show. How are you, Craig? Good to see you, as is always the case.
Very well, Tonci. Good evening, listeners. Hope everybody's well in lockdown 56 or whatever we're on nowadays. I suppose it's a bit different for you because you can do what you want, can't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's still the restrictions. There are certain restrictions, but yeah, luckily, regional Victoria has somewhat of some freedom, I guess, so we can go everywhere and that kind of stuff. Still can't have visitors, but you can have 10 people anywhere in the outdoors. And one of my neighbours, we've got a little like a reserve just around the corner from where I live, and they had some friends over, and you know, in the basically the public reserve, it's like a walkway. They put their outdoor furniture out there, and imagine that you can go 5 meters away from home. You can have a gathering of 10 people, but you can't have those same people in your own house.
Yeah.
And
we were talking about it earlier on with someone, and it's ridiculous. Some of the rules and the laws that they have around are nuts. But look, it is what it is.
We are all safe if you duck the football. So just whenever the football is coming your way, make sure you duck and you're safe, because COVID can't actually get you. I've worked it out. You know, because if you go to restaurants, you don't need the mask when you're sitting down. It's only when you get up, so above a certain height. And, mate, I'm 6'3", I'm stuffed. Unless I crawl. Yeah, unless I crawl along the ground.
It's the only virus in the world ever that can stop a city, Tonci. Nowhere else, not a country, just a city. It's just nothing makes sense, mate. But
nothing does.
Let's get on with it.
We've got so much to get through tonight, and a big shout out to Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club, the home of the award-winning Georgie's on Vista Bistro. They are still doing takeaway in this lockdown period. So if you're in a kind of vicinity, what is it now, 10 kilometres vicinity, look up George Cross and look up the Georgie's on Vista. We thank them sincerely. They have been amazing, Craig, haven't they? The George Cross Football Club and the George Cross Fraternity. So it's always great to have everyone on board from the George Cross Football Club.
Yeah, it is, Tonci. They've been a massive supporter from day one. Mark Sultana, Lisa Jurich, George Gero and the team there have really, as we've said before on many of occasions, we wouldn't be able to do this show if it wasn't for them. So we thank them very, very much. And I know this is a tough time for them as well, with the bistro not being able to be open and no football. But yeah, we're very grateful for what they do for us.
Also very grateful is the fact that every so often the 3-member of the Stooges is able to join us and make us complete. And he joins the third Bee Gees. The third BG, and he's making his way. He's another one of our special co-hosts tonight, Steve Curtin. How do you like being referred to as a stooge or a member of the Bee Gees? Which of the two lesser evils is better?
Yeah, thanks, Tonci, and thanhanks, Craig. And well, as you said, it's about making you feel complete, as you just mentioned. So, look, never thought I'd hear that, but I'm pleased to play that role, mate. More than happy to.
No, it's good to see you on the show every week, mate. We are lucky. We both down from Geelong way, so we can get out and about a little bit. There's a bit more freedom there. And speaking of what we're loving and what we're hating, Craig, over to you, mate. We've got this new segment this week. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, we're gonna have a bit of fun every week, and we're gonna start off with a love it and a loathe it. So something that we've loved throughout the week can be whatever it wants, and something that you absolutely hate or loathe. And I'll start off with my love it, I suppose, Tonch, and hats off to ex-Manchester City, an Argentinian forward who, footballers get a tough time for the amount of money they make and perhaps the lifestyles that they choose or they have. But a big shout out to Sergio Aguero this week, who, upon leaving Manchester City, gave every one of the staff a sign, a watch engraved with Sergio Aguero's name on the back, and he even raffled off his top of the range Range Rover to one lucky member of the staff who was a kit man apparently. But I think that's a really nice gesture from him, and it just shows the level of the man, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Very nice. Do you think he didn't want his old teammates to forget him with that inscription on the watches?
Maybe, but I just think it's just a nice gesture for someone to do that sort of thing. They get a tough time sometimes, footballers, and I think it's nice to see that somebody's doing something the other way. And I loathe it, Tom.
Loathe it.
Yeah, look, I've got a dual loathe, both to do with the same thing. And for those that know me, I'm a big avid Newport County fan follower, ex-employee of the club, and they were unceremoniously
unceremonious.
I'm just trying to think of what I was going to say. Outed of the playoff finals last Sunday in a game against Morecambe, which Morecambe were given a very, very, very dodgy penalty. It wasn't even a penalty. It wasn't dodgy, Tonch.
Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, any chance then, or?
Oh God!
Even the VAR's had a blackout on that one.
We'll come back to it, Tonch. You play.
Maybe you need to. Can you describe the you guys
can't see it.
No, we can't see it, Tonch. It doesn't come up on the screen, mate. So whatever you've done, you've done some.
You couldn't see that, no?
No.
All right, well.
But on the other side to that, as well as part two of my loathe it, and it really annoyed me that not only did they get a penalty in extra time to go through to League One, we almost had the cock of a manager, and I'll play his post-match interview.
Derek, I must ask you about the penalty. Common consensus was it wasn't, so I'm sure you've got sort of a lot of thoughts for Mike Flynn. I think if it was the other way, you'd be screaming.
No, I've got no sympathy for them. 3 times this season they've had 3 of our players sent off, and I think that sometimes in life, justice, and that was justice.
So no VAR at this level?
Listen, if they want VAR, they want VAR, but this season they had 3 of our players sent off, and sometimes in life you get your comeuppance. Today was that, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what a reaction.
No sympathy.
Not mincing his words at all there.
And actually, 2 days later, he left the club and is now the new manager of Bradford City. So, so that was my love it and loathe it for this week, guys.
Steve, over to you. You're next.
Thanks, mate. Well, I think the love it was easy this week, and we've really had something missing in our lives for a long time, around 560 odd days. And it is, of course, being able to follow our men's national team, the Socceroos. Such a long absence, over 18 months. And it was absolutely, I had no hesitation in setting the alarm for 5 a.m. the other morning to watch their match in Kuwait City. And it's just so good again to be able to sit down and talk about the selections, the strategies, and some of those young players, the likes of Fran Karacic coming into the team and getting his debut cap, and Aiden Hrustic's performance. And it's just great. I really miss that. So I absolutely love having the Socceroos back and look forward to them playing more games in this hub in this 37-degree temperatures. Such a long absence, over 18 months. And it was, I'm hearing myself back.
Yep. I don't know why. Mate, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you miss something, you don't realize how much you miss it until you've lost it. And that's a classic example. You sort of think to yourself, you get caught up in the day-to-day, whatever it is, struggles, this and that. But, watching the soccer, I didn't actually watch the game, I watched the highlights, but you kind of think, it is that one element. Once upon a time, the Socceroos was our most marketable product, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I remember first time going to watch the national team live back at the MCG when I was a youngster, and seeing the I think it was summed up well back then by the Qantas boys and girls choir getting out there and talking about how we're singing that song about we've got all these Australians from all around the world away from their family and friends. And then I think this is the thing that brings everyone together, because the Socceroos typify that, because they do come from all over the world to come together to play these matches. And there's something special about that you just don't get, obviously, in club football. And given the scope, the length and breadth of where our players play, it's very special, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you loathe? What did you loathe?
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed last night. It's probably a special mention could have been Western United's end to the season, of course, with the 8 straight losses. But it wasn't exactly that. It was a legend of the National League retiring last night, Andrew Durante, and the Fox cameras at full time cut to an interview with Matt Simon, and then they cut off to the next game over at Newcastle with Newcastle and Perth Glory. So it was pretty disappointing, and it comes back to that whole thing where they really should be playing the final round of fixtures concurrently, all broadcast on a separate stream. There's technology that can well and truly do that these days, and it would enable the option to show that footage that you just saw on screen there. Because it's one of those things where we always talk about football. We do a good job of not telling our narrative and our story. And you can guarantee if that was a, like a 400 plus gamer, retiring from the AFL, that would be plastered all over our TV screens. And in fact, no one even saw that. And I think that game was also simulcast on ABC, but of course they would have well and truly cut to the 7 o'clock news by then. So, there's a legend there. He's, had a 20-year football career, 39 years of age, gone and ended up representing New Zealand. A somewhat modest, player in a lot of ways, and he's overcome a lot in his career. Shocking broken leg break. He even got shot while he was playing by a stray bullet in Sydney as a youngster. So he's got so many tales that he could tell, and the least we could do was put that on TV at the end, and Fox didn't do that, and that was a shame.
No, I agree with you, Steve, and I've actually changed my loathe it. My loathe it has just been changed to how Fox Sports can give any airtime to Matt Simon.
All that made it all the more angry. The rage.
Fox
Matt
Sports,
Simon of all the people
It's Fox Sports is disgusting, and honestly, the level. Look, I'm not even going to say anything.
I turned off Fox Sports this week. Mike, it's gone.
Yeah.
Earlier on in the week, I said to the wife, "Look, get rid of it. We don't need it now. We got Optus, and obviously Channel 10 will come on, and we'll do Paramount as a separate one. We don't need Fox Sports anymore."
No.
There's an idea for a new segment, perhaps. Craig was shut it down. What are you shutting down this week? And Fox
We'll be shutting down a lot of things. We'll be shutting down a lot of things.
Very good. Over to you, Tonci. What's your love?
Well, let's see. I'm going to keep it simple. And look, at the risk of sounding like I'm not, and I don't want the following bit to be, rubbing it into all of the noses of our lovely Melbourne friends, whatever, who are locked down. But we were very lucky to have the juniors coming back. Just the juniors, only seniors. And this morning down at Alco Park, Craig, watching, my little boys under 12 teams, 12 team play, that to me, just the simple things. And honestly, I think I said it to you, I said it to someone else. Watching the A-League last night, or little bit of the A-League, the Western, I didn't even watch the Victory and City game tonight. It's just absolutely boring. But I get more satisfaction watching grassroots football. It's a shame the NPL's not in action, because this year's NPL was brilliant. And if you caught last week's interview with Kim Onteliadoris, the head of the Football Victoria, you can catch it on our YouTube channel. I mean, this year was really building up, and look, it still may well be an epic competition. And that's what I loved. I loved watching the juniors. I loved games coming back, at least somewhat in regional Victoria. Well, I loathe the fact that we've got lockdowns in Metro Melbourne. I loathe the fact that seniors everywhere are being affected. I mean, the country championships, the Victorian Junior Country Championships, which was has now affected all the regions regionally. That was supposed to be held next week in Geelong. Because of all these draconian laws and things that are being brought in, we can't have any of that. Now, guys, it's absolute. I'm going to call bullshit here, as Matthew McConaughey used to in the famous movie that he was in. It's just absolute stupidity. And like I said, earlier in the show, Craig, the South Australian, what is it? She's not even the minister. The health Cho, whatever they call him. When she tells people attending an AFL game, if you attend an AFL game that involves Collingwood, a Victorian team that has been cleared to come into South Australia, don't touch the footballs, duck, because sweaty hands have been. I mean, this is expert advice that we're supposed to live by. Don't even get me started on what's happening in Victoria here. I'm really frustrated. Speaking to a few people, they're angry. So I'm not just loathing it. I'm majorly pissed off. That's me.
Right, yo.
There you go. Who wants to follow that up?
Feel better?
No, I don't. Actually, no, I don't. I'll feel better when these lockdowns are lifted, when we've got NPL back, and I'm sure everyone out there in comments land, say what you love, what you loathe. Tell us what you. I think we've had a few people already saying a few things. Matt, a lot of people questioning Foxtel and what you're not. Oh God, yeah. Let's talk about something pleasant, guys.
Let's get on to the news, is it?
It's time for the news, and we're going to go straight into the news. Yep. What have we got on the news tonight? We're going to have a bit of a break. Don't go away, guys. It's episode 61. We sort of started on a positive and a /negative tonight, but it's all going to be positive from here, because in the news desk, amongst other things, we'll be talking about the Euro Championships coming up next week. Don't go away. It's Football Out West Show. Okie dokie. Welcome back to the Football Out West Show. I feel a lot better, gents. I don't know about you guys.
What did you do during that little ad break?
I sipped a little bit of the red fluid. It's actually cranberry juice, not wine or anything like that, although I sometimes do feel like having a wine. Guys, Craig, let's start off with it. What's the first news item you'd like to talk about?
Let's go. Let's start with the A-League, is it? I think... that comes to an end this evening with the final game of the Melbourne Victory versus Melbourne City game. I didn't watch it, Steve. I'm not sure whether you managed to get hold to watch the game or not. I haven't got Foxtel, so I couldn't watch it.
I know a little trick. You have a VPN, but don't tell anyone that. Now, I didn't get to watch it either, actually. I was just rearranging the house and moving into this the new look studio here. But I've seen that Leighton Brooks scored a 95th minute equaliser for Melbourne victory to get a share of the points after earlier in the second half. Nick Ansell had scored a 54th minute own goal in a 1-1 draw in front of no fans at Amy Park tonight to conclude match day 24 of 24 of the A-League season for 2021, and now it's finals time.
Yeah, just I read a comment on Facebook earlier on from someone who'll remain nameless. He's a good friend of mine who was pretty disappointed with Melbourne victory. Not only the way that they've played this season in respect of where they finished on the league, but the fact it's the last game of the season and they kept all their youngsters on the bench, whereas Melbourne City had 3 players under the age of, I think, 17 come within the squad. Now that shows you a real difference between 2 very different clubs, and we'll touch on Melbourne City very quickly. Everybody knows they're backed by some big people.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. But the reality is, guys, they are about wanting to win, but they're also about development. They're huge on this whole development process of making sure that the money that they invest is put back into bringing. Now, I don't see that with many football clubs. So big hats off to Melbourne City this year. It's taken them a few years. They've had a lot of stick over the last 5 or 6 years, but fair play to them this year. They've been absolutely fantastic and certainly deserve to win the Shield for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Melbourne City, bit of news, Craig, with the major signing now. This is going to cause a little bit of a row amongst us 3. It's going to cause a little bit of a debate, and we'd love to hear what your thoughts are, folks out there. We'd love to hear. By the way, Michael Long, you better. We're going to have talk back a little later on. Michael Long, I want you to come on because in your comment you said KO is free this month. I want to know how, because I'm paying friggin' $25 for a useless product. I want to know how you get it for free. All right. So that's later on, folks. Talkback is going to be coming later on. So you will have an opportunity to say and vent if you want. Just don't swear. We're trying hard here not to swear tonight. But Craig, something that's got your goat about Melbourne City.
Is it? Okay. I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys. By all means, the phone lines are open, 0497 151 234. Matthew Leckie joining Melbourne City for next year. My thoughts are that I suppose it's a good signing for Melbourne City. He's a good player. The other side of me says, why the hell would a player at 30 years old who's been playing in Europe for the last 6 or 7 years come back to play in Melbourne? And so the question I really want to ask is, are we finding that the players that go off to Europe, and he might have had 6 or 7 years playing within Frankfurt and a number of other clubs over there in Germany, why would somebody come back to Australia, which is not a good league, a good standard to play in, at 30 years old? So for me, it's a good sign for Melbourne City, but is it a good sign for football? I'm not sure.
Steve, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Craig. Melbourne City looking pretty scary now. Like I'm going to imagine that they're going to lose Jamie McLaren, so at least that will make them a little bit less frightening. But imagine a front 3 of Jamie McLaren in between Naboo and Leckie. Like, that's not fair on the A-League level. That's not right.
That's a good point. Have you heard that McLaren's going? Have you, or you're just suspecting that? Or
just suspecting that. I haven't heard anything for a few days, but I think there's massive interest from a number of clubs in Asia for Jamie McLaren, given what he's done in the last couple of seasons here. So it looks like Leckie might. Well, I mean, Leckie started in the number 9 position for the Socceroos this week, so perhaps he will assume that role for Melbourne City. Yeah.
Oh, look, we know Melbourne City, as you said, Craig. They've got money. There's no doubt about it. And they're signing him on for 3 years. So there's some sort of a big push there behind the scenes. We don't know how much. Maybe he's making as much money as he can make in overseas. I don't know. Is it a lifestyle thing? Is it a thing that he now wants to come back to Australia? I don't know.
He is a Melbourne boy, isn't he?
He's a Melbourne boy. Correct. Yeah. Look, from my point of view, I'm not a big fan of the A-League at the moment. I'm not a fan of Melbourne City, Victory, Western United, you name it. But it is good for the A-League in the sense that it might break that freaking Sydney FC monopoly on the league. Because Sydney FC have been really devastating as far as their attack. And look, Bobo, Ninkovic, all of these players that they picked up, and been able to kind of keep as well. That's a very good team. Now, look, down at City, you've got Naboot, you've got Leckie, and now you've got McLaren. So that's fundamentally your Socceroos strike force, isn't it?
But that's my question.
Yeah.
Why would the Socceroos captain want to come back and play in Australia at the age of 30? Surely, as a footballer, you want to play at the highest level you can. Playing for Melbourne City in a half-arse league is not what I would see as where I would want my captain playing. It's just my thoughts, open to debate. It's interesting that that he's coming back. Great on Melbourne City that they've got him back or got him at the club. But for me, I just think it's the wrong thing for football that you've got your Socceroos captain not playing in Europe and coming back to play in Melbourne at an age when he should be playing higher.
Martin Cholak says he's coming home due to Australia I think he means being a safer place from a COVID point of view, plus a great offer. I do not doubt the whole idea of a great offer. Maxi Santich says, marquee signing, dollar sign. Exactly. Oh, this is an interesting comment about Chris Briffey. Says, Tonci makes you wonder about the Sydney FC salary cap. Yeah, true. That's a good point, actually, because how are they managing to get those players all under the salary cap? Pretty incredible.
Yeah, well, they've been allowed incremental increases each year, Sydney FC, because I think there's a system that allows you to keep your players, a bit of player retention system. And most clubs that have won premierships in the A-League in the last 10 or so years have almost been pillaged. And by the time their Champions League campaign comes around a year or so later, they're in the bottom half of the table. But they've been the opposite. Yeah.
Now, Ruben Todorovsky says safer. Victoria has the Delta strain, and he's got a little emoji doing that. Now, gents, breaking news. Apparently, there is a new strain that has been discovered in Australia after the Delta strain. It's called the Barnsley strain. Everyone's walking around and singing Working Class Man to themselves. That's how ridiculous it all is. It's meant to be a joke, guys.
Where's the punch? I'm waiting for the punchline, mate.
That was a proper dad joke.
Yeah.
I've actually heard just on Twitter now that there's been a positive case assigned to a donut shop. So not the kind of donut day we were hoping for.
Oh,
it's not a joke. That's actually legit. That's actually true.
Was that an attempt at a joke?
That's unfortunately true.
All right, let's move along to football matters, James.
Yeah, look, just staying on the A-League there, guys. I suppose we've congratulated Melbourne City on what I believe is a fantastic season. Let's talk about, they're not a Western club, but let's talk about Central Coast Mariners. They finished third bottom out of the last 3 seasons, and this season turned it around and finished third. So Alan Stanic came in for a lot of criticism a few years back, has gone there, and I think he's done a fantastic job. Your thoughts?
Oh, can I just say, look, that's one of the good things about the A-League this year has been Central Coast for several reasons. One, it's not the almighty dollar of Sydney FC and Melbourne City that's, buying success. Here, we've got a small club with a very small market. They're developing players. They're giving young players a go. And like the turnaround has been absolutely amazing. It's a shame they don't get more supporters. I mean, back in the day when Graham Arnold was their coach, they were getting, huge crowds, 15,000 plus, whatever. And they were doing really well. So it's a shame. But look, having said that, it is one of these success stories of not just the A-League, but Australian football, that you've got a team that was, if we had relegation there last year, they would have been relegated. In fact, they would have been relegated the last 5 years. But to come back like that and to, they still got a very good chance for to win the grand final. Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Alan Stajic and the coaching team there have done such a good job, and they've just picked up some of these little gems of players that no one was interested in. Alu Qual, the obvious one, floating around in Shepparton, banging in goals. None of the 3 Vic teams wanted to take him. And if you wanted to do a bit of a Western Melbourne for football at West High, and Stefan Negro there, he was going around for Green Gully last season. He moved heaven and earth to get a chance.
Went on trial to Western United and at the start of last season and didn't get selected.
Yeah, actually went to Darwin to avoid getting stuck so we could get up to a trial with the Mariners, which is crazy. So the effort he went into to get that. And some of these little players, I say little players literally, like Josh Nisbet in the middle of the park there, been outstanding. Ruan Tongic's gone on to get his Socceroos call up, which is fantastic. He was, at Melbourne City, not really getting a go. And they've just got a lot of value out of players, even like the goal scorer last night, which is Jack Clisby, who's not one of my favourite players, but he's getting the job done.
See when he copped it in the face? Oh, my God.
Oh, that was nasty. And he just, it was like nothing happened. He just kept going.
No brain.
They've got Matt Simon to back everything up.
I'm not giving him any credit, no.
Yeah. Hello, Qual, as well, coming from the Victorian NPL and stepping up there and doing well. That just goes to show there are some quality players in the NPL. And now
earning himself a move abroad, Tonch. Talk about it.
Off the Stuttgart.
And you guys have commentated many, many games this year. We've seen many games in the NPL Victoria competition. And there are a lot of good quality players there that if they were given an opportunity to step up to full-time professional ranks, they do well. They might not do it straight away if you throw them in at the deep end. They might not perform their first game or two, but like with Alo Qual, Stajic, good on him. He did really well, persevered with him, and he's brilliant. The kid's brilliant.
And just on that as well, Tonch, Craig and I have done a lot of games at Altona this season. We've seen their right back, Anthony Burt-Gilroy, going around in a team that's in the relegation zone. Gets picked up by Brisbane Roar, makes their team. It's not that far between the level required, obviously.
There's a lot of luck involved, Steve. You need to be in the right place at the right time, and I've seen it so many times over the years. And fair play to Gilroy there. We've actually thought he's on the occasions that we've commentated, he's a very good player, and obviously it shows. And Qual going off to Stuttgart is a fantastic achievement for the young lad. So
great story.
Anyway, that's enough about Central Coast. What about closer to home, Western United? Where do we start with that?
Where do we start with Western United? Oh, it's Steve. Craig, you what did you want to say about Western United?
Look, lost 8 games on the bounce, conceded 32 goals. I forgot the second worst defence in the league. In 2019, had the 3rd best. Suppose the question is, where's it all gone wrong?
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. Where's it all gone wrong? Steve?
Yeah, well, I mean, you go back only... So they played so many games in a short period of time. You go back to their trip to Tassie. At that time, they were in about 6th place, looking pretty good, carrying on from last year. And they had those games in hand. So we sort of thought, they're a genuine chance for the sort of top 4 or 5 spots in the ladder. Things have gone wrong. I don't know. It's coincided with when we've been getting busy again. We've been at NPL games, missed a lot of the games. And then after seeing the results, not really wanting to watch a lot of the games. Obviously, a horror run of fixtures with coinciding with perhaps some bad off-field things going on that we don't know about is the speculation.
I reckon, Steve, you've hit the nail on the head there, off-field problems. We've seen the football director, Ante Kovacevic, just depart the club not that long ago. There have been constant, what do you mean, speculations, if you like, that the Western United camp has all sorts of infighting, and some of the players have been involved in it, some of the coaches, some of the what-you-nots. That surely there must be something behind the scenes, Craig.
Yeah, look, do you think the travel has got a lot to do with it? They haven't got a home base. They haven't got a stadium as such. They're all their games away from home. The traveling that these guys have been doing week in, week out is enormous. Staying in hotels, and I know for one what it's like staying in hotels, and everybody thinks it's fantastic, but you soon get pretty pissed off with it, if I'm honest. And I believe that's certainly got something to do with it, but I'm sure there's other things behind the scenes. So, question there is Alex Sikranowski said, surely Rudin doesn't survive. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know enough behind the scenes to know yes or no or whatever. I would say that they'd probably give him another season because let's face it, there's still a club in its infancy, isn't it? Like there's still, as you said, Craig, I mean, they have got a base. They train at our sponsors, George Cross Football Club. That's where they're based as far as that is concerned. But you're right. I mean, they've had to do a fair bit of travelling. But look at Wellington Phoenix. For the whole season, they actually were nomadic. They actually lived away from home. Yet they've got 10 points. They've ended up with 10 points more than Western United. So how much of it is, can you put it down to, look, so who made that comment about Popovich? Oh, not Popovich. Popovich's victory about Rudin. That's a good point. Look, he'd definitely be feeling the pressure. There's no doubt about that. But look, I think they'll stick with him. However, having said that, if Diamanti doesn't play next year, Durant is not playing next year, Berisha probably unlikely to be playing next year. Whatever happened to Philip Curto? Where's he gone? There's your whole skeleton. There's your whole backbone of your team. Take away those 3-4 players, whatever. You're left with a lot of average players there, a lot of average players. So in the off-season, they're going to have to undertake some rather aggressive recruiting. And you're right, Craig, when you don't have a home base, when you don't have so much as an, I won't say identity, but a truly home base that you can feel kind of at home, it's going to be very hard to attract quality players, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is, and a couple of the listeners are quite right. That the Knicks were based out of Wollongong, and it's a great point that. But also somebody mentioned I think it was Michael Long. Their reserves are doing very well in the MPL. Is this not a chance for us, guys, seriously, to start putting some of these young kids in? We know that Western United came into the leagues. Blaze of Glory did very, very well last season. Played some fantastic football, and nobody can hide from the fact that that's what they did. They almost won the grand final. Did they overachieve in their first year? Possibly. But now is it a chance maybe to as you said, Tonch, to really rebuild the football club? You've got some. The youngster, I can't think of his name, who's been knocking in the goals for the reserves. He started this week, didn't he? For a game, or certainly came on. Is there an opportunity there to start breeding some of these young players that Western United have got into the senior team with the likes of Diamante around them, and where's Berisha been for the last few months? I know he's been injured, but is it a case of, as you said, a rebuild at the club?
I think so. I mean, that's inevitable, Craig. I think that has to happen. Not it has to happen. It will happen. Like I mentioned, those veterans that are leaving. I mean, Diamanti. This is his last season, isn't it, gents? Isn't next year he's supposed to be involved in some sort of a coaching capacity, or that was the plan. So he's going to go. Berisha's on his last legs. He's going to go. Guys, there has to be some sort of a rebuild. There's no doubt about that. But it would be interesting. I'll be really interested to see how are they going in the by the way, in the NPL3 competition. Second.
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, the second behind Preston Lions. Yeah.
Right. So there's every possibility that they could be playing in NPL2 next year. Every possibility. So actually, there you go. 5 games, 5 wins, 4 draws, no losses. Goal difference of 23-4, 13 against. So pretty impressive. Only 4 points behind Preston Lions. Absolutely. So I mean, the future must be relatively bright. But you're asking kids to go from MPL3 to A League. Is that
Tonch, seriously? Jump? Somebody's already mentioned. We've just talked about Alokoal and a few other boys.
He was in MPL2, I think.
I don't believe the gap is as big as we think it is, or people think it is. I think some of these players, Gilroy, was playing in what I class as a poor team down at Altona Magic, is now playing for Brisbane Roar. I think given opportunities, And that's what it comes down to, being given opportunities. It's not whether players are good enough, it's whether they're given the opportunities to prove that they're good enough. And if they're good enough, if they're good enough, they're old enough, or old enough, they're good enough. It's about time that we really started to give these young kids an opportunity. Otherwise, we've been touching on the A-League now for half an hour. It's not going to improve. And people are going to stay away if we don't start involving some of these better young kids and giving them opportunities. James
Levels Atanasov says, this is a good point. He says, if they're good enough, they will lift their games. I think that should be THEIR, James, not THERE. But he makes we understand what you're trying to say. Michael Long also says, and that's only because A-League is full-time. Absolutely. A lot of these players, if given the opportunity, particularly the younger players, if given the opportunity to step into a full-time capacity, situation where they are training every day, absolutely would have to improve. And the younger the player, the more coachable they are, or they should be. With some of these,
they don't have fear, mate. Max Caputo who came on for Melbourne City tonight, ex-George Cross player. He's 15 years old.
Yeah.
What? I don't understand. There's no relegation in this league. Why wouldn't you give the kids an opportunity to play? I just don't get it. Maybe we're just too blinkered on the winning mentality, even at A-League, and I think there's some real opportunities for us to develop these young kids and give them a go.
100%. Okay, gents, it's time that we start talking about the A-League. The A-League, got the A-League on my mind. The Euro Championships. But before we do that, we're going to take a little bit of a break, a sponsor break. When we return, we will have the discussion about next week's European League or European Championships.
Looking for the best and authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack, and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Out West Show. It is episode 61, and we're here joined by Craig Filer and Steve Curtin. And Craig, you got something ready? You've got something ready for us, haven't you?
Have I?
It's time, gentlemen, to talk Euro 2020. Isn't it funny? Euro 2020 in 2021. But that's the world we live in at the moment. And Craig, you start it off. You start the discussion off.
Yeah, so look, we're all looking forward to next Saturday. I think it's been a long time in the waiting, and there's some fantastic ties in over the next few weeks to get us going. No more so than the start next Saturday morning. I think it is our first game, Italy versus Switzerland at 5, or Turkey versus Italy, sorry, at 5 o'clock next Saturday morning.
That's it.
Followed by God's country against Switzerland at 11 o'clock.
Oh, gentlemen, let's go through the groups very, very quickly, and we'll start off. Steve, let's have a look at the first group there, Group A. What do you like? Oh, let's go what you love and what you loathe on here. Who do you like here? And which team maybe do you think will bomb out? Please say Wales. Please say Wales. No. All jokes aside, who do you think will do well, and who do you think will probably not? Comments about that group. It's your turn.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to say, look, Italy. Look, just to surprise everyone there, I think they'll manage to get through, and I think the second place team there, just to disappoint or play the devil's advocate to Craig, I'm going to go for Turkey.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you. I think Turkey have been fantastic in their qualifying period. I don't think Wales will get out of this group. I think Italy will. They've been in fantastic form. I think they've won their last 6 games. They would be the favourites for me. Absolutely.
Craig, let's look over to Group B. What's your take on Group B?
Yeah, look, I think you can't look further than Belgium in that one, Tonci. Top of the world rankings, and Denmark, Finland, and Russia in that group. Belgium will win that comfortably, I think.
Belgium definitely one of the firm favourites. I think they're playing Croatia tomorrow morning, so that'll be an interesting clash. But Belgium. There's some pundits actually saying Belgium. Have got they're probably odds on to make it through to at least the semi-finals and likely the finals. But Denmark, Finland, Russia. I'm sure they're going to put in a top effort. But at the end of the day, I think Belgium clear favourites in that group. Steve, moving along to Group C. Your thoughts on Group C? Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and Macedonia.
Yeah, this is a hard one here. Netherlands should finish in top place. Second place is pretty tricky. I'm going to go and say Austria for me. Your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Steve. I think Netherlands should come out on top, given the fact that they are a football nation, a proud football nation. Have been in the doldrums for many, many years. I think it's an opportunity for them this year to really stamp their authority on European football, and they should come through quite easily in that group.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting group in many ways. Netherlands is the clear favourite, but who will be the second team to progress through to that? I reckon it could be a tough one there, but I think it will be between Ukraine and Austria. But North Macedonia, they may well provide some upsets, and that will be interesting to see. Craig,
Ruben Toborowski's years just saying the Macedonia paying $550 to beat Austria.
There you go.
Get your house on it, Ruben.
Yeah, it's a good.
I reckon Ruben's already got some money on that.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon
he probably has.
Yeah. Group D, Craig, England, Croatia, Scotland, and the Czech Republic.
Yeah, Scotland for me. Anybody bar England. So Croatia to win it, and Czech Republic to come second. So no, look, I think England have got a very, very strong group this year. We can talk about their development, and I think their squad has been 15, 20 years in the making of, very, very young, talented footballing squad. I think Gareth Southgate has done a fantastic job of introducing the youngsters into it, and I think they're going to be quite formidable in this European, providing the young heads can deal with the pressures, I suppose. But look, England for me, followed by Croatia on that one.
Yeah, look, Croatia coach Zlatko Dalic in an interview, I think just a week ago, was under no illusion that this is going to be a tough ask. And he said England at Wembley, Scotland at Hampden Park. He couldn't have wished for anything, worse, because it is going to be very tough. Croatia's never beaten Scotland in Scotland. Obviously, we know what it's going to be like against England in Wembley. And the Czech Republic, look, they're not just a rag to be thrown out. They're a tough side as well. So it is going to be a very tough group. Look, as much as I'd love to say Croatia is going to do very well at these championships, it's not the same Croatia from 2018. They've lost quite a fair few players. Some of the players aren't getting regular time at their clubs. And it's still based on a lot of their aging stars. And look, Dejan Lovren, former Liverpool defender, he's under an injury cloud as well. And the defence has always been a little bit shaky, to say the best. But you never know. The Croatians, they've got this spirit, and anyone who knows the Croatian out here in Australia, knows they're made of fighting spirits, so anything can happen. But I'm tipping England to do well there. Steve, Group E: Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia.
Yeah, the S group, as I like to call this one, except for Poland, of course. But I think Spain to top this group, and my second pick is actually going to be Poland. Craig, do you agree?
Spain for sure. I think they'll come out on top. Whether it's Poland or Sweden, I suppose it depends on whether Lewandowski turns up or not, Steve. For Poland, if he doesn't, I think they're going to struggle. Sweden, good football inside. Got a lot of good players playing in the Premier League and at various clubs around Europe. I'd probably put Sweden ahead of Poland. I just don't know whether Lewandowski is going to be. He hasn't been fit and hasn't played a lot of football. So let's go with Spain and Sweden.
There you go, Spain, Sweden. That's what Craig says. Definitely Spain, I think. And yeah, I tend to agree with you, mate. Sweden, I think, for my second place team in that group, the Group F. They're dubbing it the Group of Death. Craig, look at that. Hungary, Portugal, France, and Germany. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's some group that, isn't it? Poor old Hungary. They must have been. They must have stood on a cat or something when that group was drawn. But look, for me, I'm going to actually go with France to win the group, followed by Portugal. I don't think Germany will. I think they're going through the resurgence phase. A lot of new players in there. So I think for me there it would be France, who have looked very, very good, and Portugal, who, if you look at Portugal's squad, it's frightening. Some of the players they have in that squad, and it wouldn't surprise me if Portugal go all the way.
Steve, thoughts?
Yeah, hard to disagree with Craig there. The caliber of the caliber and depth of the French squad. You look at the caliber of players they've left out is pretty scary. But yeah, looking this morning at a possible starting 11 for Portugal is pretty frightening, and I think they'll do pretty well. And Germany will have to be content with third place in this group as they look to regenerate their squad with Jurgi Löw stepping down after this tournament.
Yeah, look at the names that Portugal have: Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Diego Jota, Pepe, João Felix, Ruben Diaz, Renato Sanchez, Andre Silva, Bernardo Silva, Neto, Font, Mendes. It's frightening.
Pretty lethal team.
It's frightening. It's a frightening squad. If they can play as a team, they'll be my very dark horses for the title, which of course they won in the last Euros, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it's scary because I'm agreeing with you, Craig, on a lot of points tonight. So, but one of the online, I guess, portals that has really analysed this and have actually broken it down into percentages. So this is the analyst, and what they're saying is, well, basically France has got a 20.5% chance of winning the whole thing. Then Belgium are next. So they've actually gone and ranked through everyone. France, Belgium, Spain, Germany, Portugal, Italy in that order for the top six, Netherlands and Denmark making up the top 8. Pretty interesting. They're interesting that they say England's ninth? I would have thought England would be a little bit higher, but it just goes to show, gents, I guess football is a game of opinions, and end of the day, look, in a month's time we'll know exactly what the case is, but it all kicks off, as you said, Craig, on Saturday. Turkey taking on Italy at 5 o'clock, and then that evening Wales taking on Switzerland at 11 o'clock Australian time. Steve, Sunday's games. Let's go through some of those games. Denmark taking on Finland, the opener. That's at 2 o'clock. What else we got there?
Yeah, that's followed by an interesting one at 5 a.m. Belgium and Russia. Set your alarms for that one. And then the Sunday evening game at 11 o'clock, a very good time. And there's going to be a lot of people gathering around TVs to watch this one. England and Croatia at 11 o'clock with public holiday the next day.
Yeah, it's a big shame because actually Melbourne Knights were putting on a big marquee and a big show for this one. So unfortunately, they at this stage they're not likely to get. But it's a bank holiday on the Monday, so I think there'll be a lot of people staying up for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then following after that, we've got on Monday, so Monday morning, we've got Austria hosting North Macedonia.
Yeah, not sure I'll get up for that one.
Yeah,
graveyard shift.
Hey.
Ruben's
on it. He's already typing away.
Yep, absolutely. Netherlands hosting the Ukraine at 5:00, and then Scotland taking on the Czech Republic 11:00 Monday night. Tuesday morning. Steve, what are the games that we've got Tuesday morning?
Yeah, Poland, Slovakia at 2 a.m. and that's followed at 5 a.m. by Spain and Sweden. So all I can say is RIP our sleep in the coming days.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, take us through the Wednesday and the Thursday games.
Yeah, first off, Hungary and Portugal, followed by the big one at 5 a.m., France versus Germany.
Oh, what a game first up.
Yeah, and then Finland and Russia seeing the final game on that day at 11 in the evening. And that completes round one of the fixtures, Tonch.
Yeah, then we go into round two, which starts Thursday with Turkey taking on Wales at 2:00. Are you going to pull an all-nighter there, Craig? Thursday, that's Thursday morning, isn't it? Wednesday onto Thursday morning.
Yeah, we'll still be on lockdown, so there won't be any work, will there? So,
Italy hosting Switzerland at 5 a.m. Will Lygon Street go nuts? Well, we might find out from someone a little later on in Talkback, maybe in Talkback. Give us a ring. Where are you expecting to watch the games? Or Ukraine taking on North Macedonia later that night at 11 p.m. or 23 hours. Sounds very military, yes, doesn't it? Yep.
It's all very interesting, and I think we'll all be grateful of the Euros kicking off next week, which is, of course, being shown on Optus Sports, Tunch.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, so cannot wait for that. So that's going to be really good, and crowds are coming back in I hear. Is it 50% or something like that? Or I'm not too sure what the ratio is, but they will be having crowds in some way or another. So that's
good. Crowds in Europe with the amount of COVID cases they have in Europe? Surely not.
Oh, look, if they have one. If they have one positive case, then they might shut the whole continent down. What do you reckon?
Joke.
Thank God they don't have some of these chokers. Anyway, gents, we're going to open up the talkback lines, but before we do that, we're going to take a little break from our and hear a word from our sponsors. Our major sponsor this year, George Cross Football Club. Thank you so much, Mark Sultana, president there, and the rest of the crew at George Cross Football Club, home of the award-winning Georgie's on Vista. Don't go away, folks. Talkback is on after this. Before we go, what's the number, Craig, for Talkback?
0497 151 234.
We'll leave that up there for you. See you soon. Don't go away.
Looking for a venue for your next event? Our function room at George's on Vista is the perfect place for your next special celebration. That special birthday or anniversary, a baptism, communion or confirmation, whatever the celebration, we can provide a fun and enjoyable atmosphere with great food. Why not hold your next corporate event in our function room? We can seat up to 100 people and can provide you with a professional environment. Whether you're looking to hold a stand-up or sit-down event, we can cater to your needs. We have meal plans and platters for you to choose from. For more information, send an email to info@georgesonvista.com.au. There's no better place out west to hold your next function than at George's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 61. Geez, 61 episodes, guys. 3 years in the making. It's been incredible. It's been a great story. We've talked about football, and sometimes I don't know about you chaps, but I pinch myself at the thought of, every week we get on and we talk about, our favourite topic, football. And we're very lucky in that. We're very, very lucky. And now we're giving an opportunity, folks, to you out there, our valued viewers, our valued listeners. And have we got anyone on the line, Craig?
Surprisingly not, Tom.
Oh,
we have a lot of keyboard warriors on this show. Nobody likes to pick up the phone and come on and have a chat with us.
No, absolutely.
There must be someone out there who's got something that they love, something that they loathe, that they'd like to share with everyone else tonight. Come on, there's that number there, 0497 151 234.
Lots to talk about. Talk about Steve's office.
We can. Let's talk about Steve. Steve, actually, while we're waiting for our first caller, now very few people know that Steve's actually from Bendigo. And when you came down, you actually came down from Bendigo to Geelong, and you've gotten involved with the local football community and calling NPL games. But mate, what was it like growing up in Bendigo, and what was the football culture? When I say football culture, the soccer culture up there like? And just tell us a bit about, like, you know,
he's moved for a reason, Tonci.
Oh, that's yes. I asked Steve. I didn't ask Craig.
No, that's fair. No. Shout out to anyone who is tuning in from Bendigo tonight. Look forward to getting up there again soon, sometime soon. It's a very different place to Geelong, even though it's got a lot of similarities. Just that it's further from Melbourne is the big difference. So what that means is you're not having this cross-pollination of football competitions between the metro and the city. So everything that happens up there. They did try and get an NPL senior side going there, as you remember, back in 2014, which was a good initiative, but it was just something that was beyond the realms of possibility after a couple of years. And fortunately, they've managed to retain the Bendigo City Junior NPL, which is it's good that it's there. It gives the local players opportunity to raise their game every week, albeit with a lot of travel required. But the local league up there is a little different. You look at the Sunday league here in Geelong, and it's sort of a social league, but up there the league, the match days all happen on Sundays. Everyone lines up, the men's, seniors and reserves, the women's, the youth teams, everyone lines up at the same venue. It's a real sort of carnival atmosphere actually on the match days, which is pretty good because everyone sticks around and watches the other teams.
Yep.
So it's some of the pitches weren't always good. The tackles were brutal. It was pretty fearsome. There was a few Aussie rules tactics employed by certain players, but there was a few gems in there, and we've seen some couple of pretty good players come out of that region. I know one of them that was going around in some of the Western Suburbs clubs was in my age range as well, was Trent Waterson, who goes around, I think.
Yeah, Trent, he's down at Corio now, actually.
Yeah, he's around at South Melbourne and Sydenham Park.
Very good player, Trent.
Yeah, and there was this pretty handy player from my club, Epsom, which was Steve Martin, who went on to play NSL for Carlton and Parramatta, then ended up playing in a bit of the old VPL with, I think, Bulleen Zebras at the time it was. I remember we went and watched him play at the Veneto Club one night on a Monday night, and he got cleaned up in the first 5 minutes and taken to hospital. So maybe we were bad luck to go and watch him there that night. But there's been some good players come out of there, and hopefully they'll continue to produce some good talent, actually, yeah.
Brilliant. Now, before we go to our first caller, we've also got two major announcements that we're going to make later in the show. In fact, three major announcements.
We might as well go to them now, Tonci, because nobody's ringing through, mate.
No one's ringing. Come on, folks. That's pretty. I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed in freaking everything that's happening out here. And for people, and we have got listeners. We've got people tuning in tonight. So I'd love to see people ring in. 0497 151 234. Michael Long, you're going to ring us up. You rang us up last week. Tell me about how KO is free. Like it's a trial. So you have to. What do I need to do there, gents? Just let go of my current
membership. You need to ask your daughter, mate. How old is she?
Oh, she's a cluey when it comes to technology. Don't you worry.
But anything you've got, any football related questions and thoughts, give us a call. Get online. Let's see what we can come up with. But
while we wait, there's the group stages for the Euro Championship. So the group stage being run from the 11th of June through to the 11th of July. So it should be an absolutely fantastic month of football, European football. Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, Wales in Group A. Steve, Group B, go through Group B.
Group B, Belgium, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia. Group C, Craig.
Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia.
And Group D, we've got England, Croatia, Scotland, and the Czech Republic. Steve?
Group E is Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. I feel like this is Eurovision almost here.
I know, yeah. and finally,
Group
Hungary. Group F, the group of death, Craig.
Yeah, Hungary, nil point, Portugal, France, and Germany.
Jeez, the pronunciation is better in French than it is in English. Well done, mate. Would love to hear a new caller ring in and talk football. Yes, Maxi Santich, that's exactly right. Would love to hear someone new, someone who hasn't had a chance to speak. But
maybe let's go into one of our news and then come back to the talk back lines, Tonch. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we do our announcement, or shall we go and have our guest? What shall we do, Craig?
Let's get the guest on. He's been sat there for a while. Let's get him on, and then we'll do our announcement at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. With absolute great pleasure, it is our turn to introduce Giacomo Carulli, who happens to be the managing director of Macron Victoria. Giacomo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, first of all, before we make our major announcement tonight, Giacomo, being of proud Italian background, how's Italy going to go in the Euro Championship starting next week?
Hopefully well. And I've got a backup plan if Italy doesn't go well, go for England because my wife is English. So
right.
The
boss.
Two of the favourites covered.
Yeah.
The boss, mate. We've invited you to come on the show because of a groundbreaking announcement tonight, and we're going to give you the pleasure of making that announcement. So, mate, without further ado, we'd like to invite you to say or to announce what we've got cooking.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. We recently started operation of Macron in Victoria again, and as part of the growth strategy leading to season 2022, it's with great pleasure that we announced a partnership with Football Out West show. This will see us become the show's official apparel providers for the actual show and provide apparel to Tonci and Craig to wear every week on the show. Plus, we will be sponsoring the next 5 episodes of the show, and we're very excited about it because we really appreciate the service you provide to the community, and we want to be part of it.
Have we got a round of applause sign, sound effect that we can have there for Giacomo? Fantastic.
Yeah, so as you can see, we're wearing our wearing our Macron attire. We're very, very pleased, very happy to have you on board, Giacomo. Thank you for joining us and coming along the ride. When our talkback listeners aren't wanting to get on or on the phone, it's good to see the sponsors are. So we really, really appreciate it, mate. Really looking forward to it. And let's talk a little bit about Macron. I mean, it's established itself over the last few years as one of the top brands, particularly in Europe. It's huge in Europe. And apparently, according to a certain UEFA report, it sits in the top 3 as far as market share after Nike and Adidas. Is that right?
Yeah, since 2001 when Macron signed the first professional club, which is Bologna, which is actually the hometown of Macron. The brand has experienced a very big growth in the football space, especially, but they also become very prominent in rugby. Actually, this year, Wales won the Six Nations as one of the national teams sponsored by Macron.
Of course we won.
In football especially, they started becoming very popular in the UK market. Back in the days when we're talking about 2012, when I first started working for Macron, the brand had West Ham, Leeds United, Aston Villa, Napoli. So that kind of led the brand to acquire more and more market share because the strategy of Macron essentially is they sign professional clubs and they then try and build the grassroots business around it. And as part of the strategy, what they do, we pretty much give access to both professional clubs and grassroots access to the same range. So pretty much a grassroots club can end up getting the same level of quality that a professional club can get. And this in the last few years sort of helped the brand grow the presence. And according to the UEFA report, especially after I think it was 2018, this report sort of taken into account a few criteria, but by market share, Macron sits to be the number 3 after Nike and Adidas. And actually, Macron is the official UEFA sponsor. So if you watch the Europa League or the Euros in next week, all the referees will be wearing Macron. So it's sort of become one of the most prominent brands in the football scene, which helps because now, especially in Australia, we're trying and reestablish the presence on the brand. And I'm in charge of Victoria, which is a big market. Hopefully COVID doesn't drag the situation this way for too long, because I believe a lot of the clubs purchase the apparel for the season they've never played, and hopefully they can use that apparel this year. So that means in 2022, they will be in a position to purchase new apparel. So it's a bit of a we really hope that is going to be resolved.
Craig, you've got a question, have you?
Have I?
Oh, I thought you did.
Sorry, no, I actually just had to pop out a little bit, so I missed that. So, Steve, do you want to go, and then I'll jump in for the next one?
Yeah, sure. Giacomo, what are the benefits for clubs around the region working with Macron?
There are several points that I'd like to highlight. So first thing first, we are, as a brand, we have about 4 million pieces of stock made that are in our warehouse in Italy. We stock about 4 million pieces at any time. And our catalog range is very extensive. So we got so many different options from off-field, on-field, training, casual wear, which means this variety gives access to so many different items in different color combinations. So that means you don't really have to go custom all the time, which is a trend that sort of emerged in the last few years, where a lot of clubs, they need to go custom because the supplies sort of only offer sublimation. In our case, we try and facilitate that process, having pre-made products that you can access, and we have a full transparent system that gives us access to the stock levels at any time. So I can access now and tell you how many of a certain jersey in a certain color and a certain size we have available. Plus, we use air freight rather than sea freight, which means every week pretty much we organize an air freight which arrives here in about a week, which is quite fast. And having the local showroom and print lab in Carlton, this gives us that kind of flexibility to service clubs on demand rather than try and plan too long in advance. Of course, if the clubs are organized early enough, then we can, offer, better deals based on the lead time if you go sea freight. But in general, if you need something quick, we can pretty much turn around in about 2 weeks. In January, actually, we had a top-up order from one of the clubs already using Macron, about $50,000 worth of top-ups that we turned around in less than 20 days. On top of this, if clubs really want to go custom make, we custom make all our products in Europe. So everything is made in Europe in terms of sublimation and cut and sew. The minimum quantities are not too high. And this gives that extra bit of service that some clubs want to be able to access, given that sometimes clubs want to have something very unique, and we can offer that too. On top of that, as I said, we got a print lab here in Carlton. We have the capacity of processing 5,000 units a week at the peak season, because we have printers, presses, and everything to apply heat seal logos, but we can also access woven badges made in Italy if you want to add some value to the jerseys, or rubber badges similar to the one that Western United use. We can access them too. And we also have a very sophisticated e-commerce setup, which we use for other affiliate programs, part of the business behind Macron Victoria, which is called Merch Group. And this gives clubs the opportunity to have their online store with full admin run by us. So which means we'll be able to So we sit down with the club. We say, okay, what's the range you want to offer to your members? And they might decide we want to offer, a selection of 5-6 items from the on-field, the off-field, casual wear, and members can order them direct, which means we handle everything in terms of service direct to the members. And the club gets a kickback for that. And on top of this, we'll be able to offer event tickets and more through the official partnerships we'll be announcing in the next few weeks, which I can't tell exactly what it is, but it's going to support our growth in Victoria, that's for sure.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and on that, Giacomo, your current obviously presence here down in Melbourne, you're obviously responsible for Victoria. What's the presence like in Australia? What are the plans, more specifically, your plans for Victoria?
So Australia-wide, Macron, at the moment, they've got 2 elite clubs, which are Perth Glory. They've been with Macron since 2013, and Macarthur Bulls. There will be another one announced in the next few weeks. Then recently they started supplying Port Adelaide in AFL, which is the first AFL club that Macron has ever signed, which opens a completely different market. And then Parramatta Eels in NRL, Rugby League. The plans for the brand are to try and maximize their presence in other sports as well. Although personally I love football, and I've been involved in the sport as a supplier and also at the club level for years. The reality is we need to look at other sports as well, especially rugby and basketball. So Macro, they try now to sign a few more partnerships in other sports to sort of lift the image of the brand in other markets. And in Victoria in particular, we started to target also some of the AFL Metro Leagues to try and become licensed, because in AFL, you can't just sell the apparel. You need to actually pay an upfront license to be able to do that. So in the short term, definitely football, the real football is our target. And then probably basketball will be another sport we'll be targeting quite soon. But we've got to work with a calendar. We've got to look at what's happening also with COVID, because as I said at the start, a lot of clubs are in a position where before they make a decision to buy apparel, they need to pretty much make sure they got the funding from sponsors, and also the fact that they're going to be able to use it. Because then if you have another lockdown lasting for months, it's not going to help anyone. Yeah.
That's good. Tonci, turn your mic on.
He's got a great question.
I had myself muted. I did the Craig thing. Yeah. No. We are very cheeky tonight. Giacomo, one of the clubs, I love this name, the name of this club, is a little social club that's become on board the Macron family, and they're called NK Bunker. So Croatian community-backed club. Love that name. They must employ a very strong defensive type of an operation. How'd they come on board? And are there any other clubs that I know you said there's a few announcements in the wings and what you're not, but can we even have a little bit of a sneak peek of some of those other ones that are going to be coming on board? Any exclusives here on the show tonight?
I can't really talk about the actual major announcement because it's
I think somebody already has in the comments section.
Oh, I don't know how much truth. Kevin Fuma, he's suggesting a particular club.
Anyway, in terms of grassroots, we've started talking to several clubs. Obviously, being now the start of the operations in Victoria, we're trying to obviously put the word out there that Macron is back and everything. So NK Bunker in particular, going back to that, NK Bunker, they used to be with Macron in 2012, 2013, when I first worked with the brand. So it's an actual comeback for us because of the personal relationship I have with the boys. And in particular, in the Croatian community, we had at the time several clubs that used Macron back in the days. Melbourne Knights was one of them. The Dandenong Hajduk, Dandenong City, used Macron for a year when I think David Dabutovic was involved there. and having obviously clubs like Hajduk overseas sort of creates that bond and creates that kind of interest from some of these clubs to sort of use the same supplier. And in terms of other grassroots, we're talking to one MPL side, which came to the showroom about 2 weeks ago. And hopefully, we'll manage to sign. So we'll be our first new addition at the MPL level. Although Heidelberg, they've been using Macron since last year, I believe, but they was supplied by Sportsmart. And because we've taken over the license as an exclusive license, now the club's sort of coming through us for whatever they need. Yeah. But we'll see what happens when they decide to actually sit down again. But we're already working on another MPL, plus we got a few state league clubs that approached us, community side. So we don't preclude anyone. We're happy to sit down with everyone, and it doesn't need to be big orders. We can cater for small orders. For example, NK Banka is pretty much an order for the Croatian tournament, which is going to be in October, I believe. They sort of decided to start putting their order through now, just because they want to have some off field before they even get to the kids. So we got a few lined up. I can't.
How do obviously given the circumstances of
the major announcement? Because
that's fair enough. We get that.
Yeah, and obviously given the circumstances of the last 18 months or so, where a lot of clubs did have issues with kit suppliers, Giacomo, as we all know, there were many clubs right up until the last minute who were waiting for kits, never had their kits. How can clubs get involved or get in contact with you or the Macron team there to start discussions over potential new avenues?
They can easily email me on gc@macronvic.com.au, touch base by mobile phone, even through you guys. So literally, we're now at the stage where we can actually invite people in, again, subject to lockdown and all that, because we've got the showroom, we've got products on display, and we can actually guide the clubs through the process and make them comfortable and familiar with the way we operate. It's very. What we try and value is the transparency more than anything, which means service. The brand itself, we provide quality, but the main thing is transparency, because, as you said, a lot of clubs, I believe in the past, they experienced issues. And I believe it's mainly because a lot of the other suppliers, they go through custom-made, obviously in Asia, in China, and sometimes there is the infamous actually Chinese New Year that stops production and all of that. As I said, in our case, everything is pre-made. We have set dates for replenishments for all the products, so we know when if something is not in stock, we know when it's coming back in. Plus the custom production, if clubs really want to go sublimation or cuts and sew in their colors, or if they want something more unique, everything is made in Europe, which means there is no Chinese New Year involved.
Yeah. Now, Alex Sivkorovsky says a really good thing. Do we get a Football Out West show discount? Now, in coming weeks, we will be providing opportunities for our viewers to be able to jump on board and get Macron products at a very good price and at a very good discounted price. So we'll announce that in coming weeks. But definitely, Giacomo, we look forward to having a long and illustrious connection with Macron and with yourself as well. And we're certainly hoping that that's going to translate into a better brand awareness for Macron here in Victoria. And we'd love to see as many clubs out there jump on board, and especially those people that do still remember you from the old Macron days. I'm sure a lot of them will come knocking on your door.
Well, I actually retain a lot of relationships from back in the days, because actually in your area in the West, at the time, I had Werribee City on board with me for 4 years. I think at some point we had West Point. So I know a lot of people in your side of town.
Oh, excellent, mate. Thank you once again. Gents, anything else that you'd like to ask our guest for tonight?
Oh, Giacomo, if you just got one more question to ask, what is the piece of kit that you've got in your stock that people just can't get enough of, or that you love to wear around yourself?
Actually, there is an item that seems to be quite popular. I actually wear myself, which is a zip hoodie that is sitting next to me now. Look, there is a lot of products that people look at all the time, especially on the off-field range, because we got several different levels of quality and everything, and people actually, when they go through the catalog, they get overwhelmed because there is so much available, which is much easier for me to say, guys, if it's a club, tell me your budget, and I give you my recommendations based on that, because otherwise people start looking at the catalog, they get confused, they don't know what to get first because there's so it's much easier for me to actually guide the customers through, especially at the club level. But look, we get a lot of inquiries about licensed merchandise because, as I said, Macron supply a lot of the European clubs. We're actually trying out with the new website to offer some of that merchandise, because we've got Hajduk Split, we've got PAOK, we've got Red Star Belgrade, the Albanian national team, Lazio, Blackburn Rovers next year, Nottingham Forest. So there is a lot of supporters in Melbourne of these clubs that normally would be able only to order this merchandise from overseas, which means paying a lot for the freight. So what we're trying to do now is to actually try and select some of the most popular items that people ask for every time, and bring them down to Melbourne. That way they can actually order them direct from us rather than go through some overseas website and paying €50 for the freight. So that's one thing that we're working on at the moment, because we get a lot of requests.
Michael Nong wants every kit that you've got. So just so you're aware, you might get a call from him. He's commented on every football club in the world tonight, and I think there can't be many kits that he hasn't got. But look, on behalf of Tonci, Steve, and myself, Giacomo, thanks for your support on this. We really, really appreciate it. As you can see, we're all, as Maxi Santech, that's why they all look like referees this evening. But we will be wearing our Macron Football Out West gear wherever we're out and about promoting the show. And really, on behalf of all of us, thanks very much for your support, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Giacomo.
Thank you.
You're going to have a red card if you keep turning your mic off. You can go putting things up in the air.
Bugger. I hear my chair is really creaky, and when I'm not talking, I try and put it on mute so you don't hear the creaky
Steve,
chair.
What did you say his chair sounded like the other week?
Oh, I can't remember.
It's like working in Geelong Council, wasn't it? Is something like that?
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, if you want to get in touch with Giacomo, it's gc@macronvic.com.au. It's in our comment section. Go to the website, www.macronvic.com.au. As Giacomo said, the catalogue can be overwhelming, but I tell you what, there's just it is like Christmas when you start looking through there. There's so many things that you want to buy. You're going to send us all bankrupt, mate. It's great to have you on board. We look forward to you once again and having you on the show in coming weeks. And all the very best. And hopefully, the sooner we can get out of lockdown, so people can flock down to your Lygon Street outlet and say hello to you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Giacomo.
Thanks, Giacomo.
That's Giacomo Carulli from Macron. Really, really lovely, lovely person. Absolutely fantastic bloke. Craig, you've known him for a few years, but an absolute gentleman, as a scholar, as they say, which we can't really say about the same about you. But
hey,
but that is not our only major announcement that we've got to make tonight, is there? There is some more announcements that we're going to make now. And Craig, I'll let you be the bearer of good news.
Yeah, thanks, Tonch. Look, just I know it's always hard trying to get guests on the show. We had somebody lined up today. We were speaking with the Football Federation about trying to get somebody on from Kuwait, but unfortunately, timings just never worked out. We're working hard over the last couple of days to try and get that, but it just never happened. But we have got a fantastic guest on next week, someone that everybody knows in the football fraternity. A friend of Michael Ong's, no doubt. We will have former SBS television presenter Lucy Zelich, who will come on next week to talk to us about her role within SBS, her time commentating or presenting and talking everything football. So a really, really good show for us to look forward to next Sunday evening.
What I just have to say is forget Elizabeth. Lucy is the real queen. She is the queen of Australian football. She is royalty, I tell you what. And to have Lucy Zelich on the show next week on the Queen's Birthday edition is going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot wait for one. And it's fantastic. We almost had it for this week, but we had such an action-packed show this week as well. But, yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to having Lucy Zelich on next week, Steve. You're a regular viewer of the World Game podcast, and obviously we all follow Lucy's work well. Yeah, it should be pretty exciting, hey?
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah, I've just been enjoying it until the World Game has met its demise, but enjoying her and Nick Stold having their weekly chats every week while I'm working away from home. They've sort of kept us company, so looking forward to speaking to Lucy. We're going to have to really put some good questions together too, because she is a absolute professional at that sort of caper herself. So we're going to have to do our best to impress her with our questions, I think, guys.
No, yes, and on that, Tonchi, if any of our listeners, Steve, if any of our listeners have any questions for Lucy for next week, you've the number on the screen. Text us your questions. We'll vet them, of course. And then we may even get the opportunity to get you online to. Maybe that'll enhance people to ring up. I'm sure Michael Long will be the first. He's probably started phoning now.
He's going to be on hold for the next 7 days.
Yeah, he's just going on hold. But look, it's phone us in, guys. Let us know what questions you want to ask Lucy next week. And had a good chat with her yesterday. She's really looking forward to coming on the show next week, and I'm sure it'll be a fantastic event for all of us. But that's not the only one, Tonch.
No,
we've actually also got Melton Phoenix next week as our club in focus. Michelle Williamson and the team there from Melton Phoenix will also be coming on the show as a club in focus. So a really action-packed show for us a week today.
Yeah, so Melton Phoenix are coming on board as a sponsor of the Club in Focus segment. I'm looking forward to that because there is so much happening behind the scenes with regards to Melton Phoenix. They've got a whole new complex about to be built. It's a club that's going places, and hopefully we'll get a chance to speak to their president, Michelle Williamson, and a couple of the other folk from Melton Phoenix. Really looking forward to that. But, gents, I guess that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you very, very much to you both for your input tonight. It has been always a pleasure having you guys on and talking football as we do each week. A real pleasure having all of the people in our comments section. The usual bunch of suspects, and we love having you around every Sunday night. So thank you to everyone that's put their two bob worth in the comments section. Steve, myself and yourself, we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, with the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Unfortunately, it was going to be all about the country championship, so we don't know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Might be a 20-minute show tomorrow.
There you go, Tonchi and Steve, ad lib for tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on the stream. And
we'll
shout out to
the juniors. Sorry, we'll be covering a lot of the juniors. So that's something that normally does not get taken care of, or normally doesn't receive much of a coverage. It will be receiving a fair bit of coverage tomorrow. So looking forward to that, getting some of the little tackers on the screen possibly and what you're not. So that's the Geelong Region Soccer Show tomorrow night at 7. Steve, sorry I cut you off rudely.
Oh, no, I was just about to say shout out to Maxi for his brilliant comment there. Tonchi needs an office chair sponsorship if there's anyone out there.
Officeworks, huh? Officeworks. Yeah, go to Officeworks. So, come on, give me a discount, cash discount, like all the ethnics do. Do you reckon you get anything? Oh, no, that's our advertised price, and that's all we're going to give it to you for. Any other good office furniture places around?
What was that? I think that's it. I think we're done.
We're done. I've had enough. All right, gents. Thank you very much for tonight. All the very best, and we'll see you next week for the Football Out West show. Good night.
Good night.